great white shark is 6 meters of muscle, speed, and teeth, nearly 2 tons of bite force, one of the most refined predators evolution has ever produced. But push that design below, roughly 1,200 meters, and it begins to fail. The problem is not just darkness, not just cold. It is pressure. Pressure so intense that it begins to interfere with the chemistry inside living cells. The proteins that power muscle, movement, and survival start to lose shape. The biology that makes a great white simply stops working. And yet, there are sharks at 2,000 meters, at 3,000 meters, at nearly 4,000 meters. One has jaws that fire out of its skull like a harpoon, launching forward to catch prey before it can react. Another carries 300 teeth, arranged in rows of tiny tridents, all pointing inward. A mouth designed so that anything that enters almost never leaves. And one is 5 meters long, functionally blind, drifting through Arctic darkness so slowly it moves at walking pace. It may have been alive for 500 years. These animals are not failed experiments. They are what happens when the ocean takes the most successful predator design in history and rebuilds it from scratch for a world with no light, almost no food, and pressure that would crush ordinary machines. The deeper you go, the less a shark looks like a shark. And that is not an accident. This is World Untangled. And today, we're descending through every layer of the ocean to find out what the darkness did to the most dangerous animal in the sea. The top 200 meters of the ocean is the part we understand best. This is the epipelagic zone, the sunlit layer, warm enough for speed, bright enough for vision, rich enough in oxygen and prey to support some of the most powerful hunters in the sea. This is the world of the great white, a shark built like a torpedo with teeth. It can explode through the water in short bursts of speed, strike with nearly 2 tons of bite force, and sense the faint electrical signals of living bodies hidden beneath sand. Here, power works, speed works, muscle works, but the great white is only one version of what the sunlight can build. The hammerhead takes a different approach. That strange, flattened head is not a mistake of evolution. Spread across it are thousands of tiny electrical sensors, a living radar dish sweeping the sea floor to detect stingrays buried beneath the sediment. Then there is the oceanic white tip, a shark built not for reefs or coastlines, but for the empty blue desert of the open ocean. Patient and relentless, it became infamous not because it haunted beaches, but because it followed disaster, shipwrecks, sinking vessels, and exhausted survivors drifting far from land. These surface sharks are different, but they share the same basic bargain. They are fast, muscular, visually oriented, built for movement, pursuit, and dominance. And every one of those features is expensive. Speed costs energy. Muscle costs oxygen. Sharp senses need fuel. At the surface, the ocean is generous enough to pay that bill. But this design only works while energy is cheap. And below the sunlit layer, the ocean raises the stakes. This is the mesopelagic zone, the twilight world. Light still reaches here, but only in fading shades of blue, dimmer with every meter. By 1,000 meters, there is almost none left. And the sharks that live in this in-between layer are the first sign that the rules are changing. The first one of them is 50 centimeters long, smaller than a house cat, and it hunts blue whales. This is the cookie-cutter shark, and it does not overpower anything. Its underside glows, a faint, even green light generated by bioluminescent cells in its skin. From below, against the last weak sunlight filtering down from above, the glow erases its silhouette entirely, except for one small dark patch near its throat. To a larger predator looking up, that patch looks like the shadow of a single small fish, alone, vulnerable, worth chasing. And that is the trap. The tuna comes, the dolphin comes, the whale comes, and the cookie cutter strikes upward. Thick suction cup lips clamp onto the flesh. A ring of razor teeth sinks in like a circular blade. Then the shark twists its entire body. Not a bite, a cut. It carves out a clean, round plug of flesh. A wound that looks less like an animal attack and more like someone used a metal scoop. Then it lets go and vanishes back into the dark. Cookie cutter scars have been documented on almost every large species in the ocean. Whales, marlins, seals, even other sharks, and on nuclear submarines. In the 1970s, US Navy submarines began returning to port with circular holes punched into their rubber sonar domes, damage serious enough to disable their sonar systems. The Navy investigated. It was not a foreign weapon. It was not sabotage. It was a 50-centimeter shark biting chunks out of nuclear submarines because it mistook them for whales. One of the most advanced military machines ever built was forced to adapt because of a glowing shark the size of a house cat. For all of human history, no one had ever seen the megamouth shark. Not fishermen, not sailors, not scientists. A 5-meter animal with a mouth over a meter wide was moving through our oceans, and we had no idea it existed until 1976. A US Navy research vessel off the coast of Hawaii hauled up its sea anchors after a routine deployment in deep water. Tangled in the lines was something no one on board could identify. Almost 5 meters long, soft, dark, rubbery skin, a gaping mouth wide enough to fit a human being inside. There was no entry for this animal in any textbook anywhere in the world. In a single afternoon, the US Navy had accidentally discovered an entirely new branch of shark evolution. In the half-century since, fewer than 120 megamouths have ever been seen, alive or dead, anywhere on Earth. We do not know where they breed. We do not know how long they live. We do not know how many exist. Some researchers believe the inside of that vast mouth glows faintly, a soft internal lure drawing krill straight down its throat in the dark. Notice the pattern. At the surface, sharks hunt with speed, power, and vision. Here, the cookie cutter hunts by deception, disguising itself with light, then stealing flesh from animals it could never overpower. The megamouth does not hunt at all. It opens its mouth in the darkness and waits for the darkness to deliver. None of these strategies would work in sunlight. All of them are answers to the same problem. Energy is running out, and the old rules no longer apply. Below 1,000 meters, the last trace of sunlight is gone, permanently. The water hovers just above freezing. Food is scarce. Energy is everything. And this is where sharks start to look wrong. The first of them looks wrong on sight. Pale pink skin so translucent you can see the blood vessels underneath. A long, flat, blade-like snout. A body that looks soft, almost unfinished, like something pulled from the ocean before evolution was done with it. This is the goblin shark. Most sharks bite by lifting their heads and closing their mouths. The goblin shark's jaw does something stranger. It launches. It fires forward on elastic ligaments and snaps shut at over 3 meters per second, the fastest jaw protrusion of any known shark. Before the prey, has any chance to react. In the deep ocean, where prey is sparse and encounters are rare, you cannot afford to miss. The goblin shark's entire skull is built around a single principle. When something edible comes within range, you get one chance. Make it count. The goblin shark redesigned the front of its head. The next predator redesigned its entire body. Then there is the frilled shark. Its body plan has remained virtually unchanged for roughly 80 million years. Eel-like body, 6 pairs of gill slits, 300 teeth arranged in over 25 rows, each shaped like a tiny 3-pronged trident, all pointing inward. Once something enters that mouth, the geometry of the teeth makes escape nearly impossible. It likely hunts by coiling its body and striking like a snake. Ambush predation in the dark, powered by a body plan older than the extinction of the dinosaurs. These sharks are slow. Their muscles are soft, watery, low in protein. Every feature, the soft body, the slow movement, the explosive single-strike jaw, is an answer to the same question. How do you hunt when there's almost nothing to eat? The answer is that you stop being what a shark is supposed to be. Below 2,000 meters, the ocean enters its most extreme phase. Temperatures near zero, pressure exceeding 200 atmospheres, and rising fast with every meter of descent. Almost no food reaches this depth. What arrives is marine snow, a faint, constant drizzle of dead organisms and waste falling from the world above. Over 95% of organic material is consumed before it ever reaches the bottom. And yet, there are still sharks. The deepest one we have ever found is the Portuguese dogfish, recorded at 3,675 meters, a meter long, dark brown to black. It does not chase anything. It scavenges whatever the darkness offers, its oversized eyes tuned to detect the faintest glow of bioluminescence. Because down here, that faint light is the only signal that food exists at all. The Portuguese dogfish holds the depth record. But it is not the strangest shark in this layer. That title belongs to an animal that does not need to go as deep, because it has already solved the problem more completely than any shark before it. The Greenland shark, found in the cold waters of the Arctic and North Atlantic, and recorded as deep as 2,200, over 5 meters long, over a ton in weight, and it moves at 0.3 meters per second, about 1 kilometer per hour, walking pace. It is the slowest shark on Earth. Its metabolism is so reduced that its flesh is saturated with trimethylamine N-oxide, a compound that stabilizes proteins under extreme cold and pressure, but is toxic to most animals. Greenland shark meat will make you sick unless it's been fermented for months. The Icelandic dish harkal, one of the most notoriously pungent foods on the planet, exists because this shark's body is so chemically alien that it requires months of fermentation and drying before it is edible. But the most remarkable fact about this animal is its age. In 2016, researchers used radiocarbon dating of the proteins in Greenland shark eye lenses, tissue formed before birth and never replaced, to estimate the ages of 28 specimens. The largest, a 5.02-meter female, was estimated to be approximately 392 years old, with a margin of error placing her between 272 and 512 years. 500 years. This shark may have been alive before Shakespeare was born, before the telescope was invented, before the colonization of the Americas. No other vertebrate on Earth is known to come close. And perhaps the most haunting detail, most adult Greenland sharks are functionally blind. A parasitic copod attaches to the cornea early in life and feeds on the eye tissue, destroying vision over years. The parasite dangles from the eye like a pale, worm-like streamer, a 500-year-old predator, drifting through Arctic darkness, functionally blind, so slow it cannot chase anything, and still alive, still hunting, still enduring. This is what the deep ocean produces. Not speed, not power, not aggression. Patience, efficiency, time. For 4 chapters, we have watched the deep ocean reshape sharks. It took away their light, their food, their speed, their muscle, their senses. It rebuilt them as ambushers, as drifters, as 500-year-old blind survivors. Whatever the ocean demanded, evolution found an answer. Until it didn't. The Portuguese dogfish, recorded at 3,675 meters, sits at something close to a biological ceiling. Below that, in the abyssal and hadal depths, no shark has ever been confirmed. And the reason is not what you might expect. It is not food. Carrion still drifts down to the abyssal plains. It is not pressure alone. In 2023, a snailfish was filmed at 8,336 meters, the deepest any fish has ever been observed, in conditions that would crush ordinary machines. The reason sharks stop is chemistry. Remember the molecule from the last chapter? The one that saturates the flesh of the Greenland shark. Trimethylamine N-oxide, TMAO. It is the compound that helps proteins hold their shape under crushing pressure. Deep-sea fish carry more of it as they descend, but sharks have a quirk in their biology. Their bodies already carry unusually high concentrations of TMAO, even at the surface. Push a shark deep enough, and the TMAO that keeps it alive turns into the thing that kills it. The ocean does not just reshape sharks as you descend. At a certain point, it reaches the limit of what the shark design can absorb, and then it stops. We tend to think of the ocean as one place, but it is a tower, layered, stratified, with each level imposing different rules on what can survive. At the top, the rules reward the fast and the strong, the great white, the hammerhead, the oceanic whitetip, the sharks we put on posters. But the ocean is 11,000 meters deep, and sunlight only reaches the first 200. Below that line, for 98% of the ocean's vertical range, a completely different world operates. A world of ambush, of patience, of chemical deception, of bodies so unlike the surface sharks that they barely seem to belong to the same class of animal. Sharks are 450 million years old. They have survived 5 mass extinctions. They have outlasted the dinosaurs, the ice ages, and nearly every competitor that ever challenged them. They are, by almost any measure, the most durable predator design in the history of complex life. And the ocean broke it anyway. Over 80% of the ocean floor remains unmapped. Somewhere down there, in layers we have barely begun to study, a species we have never named, and almost certainly sharks we have never found. The question is no longer why the deep ocean makes strange sharks. The question is what else it is making that we have not yet seen. What do you think is still hiding in the deep? Tell us below. And for more deep dives that untangle our world, subscribe to World Untangled.